Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the Fluent English Journey podcast. If this is your first time listening, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our daily English lessons. Every day, we share simple and practical tips that help you improve your English slowly, gently, and step by step. Today, I want to guide you through a very helpful lesson from our Daily Life English series. In this podcast, we focus on English that you can use in real life, English that actually makes a difference in how you communicate every single day. In this episode, we'll talk about something almost every professional needs, no matter where they work or what job they have: speaking clearly and confidently in meetings. Many people feel nervous in meetings. Some feel shy, some feel unsure, and some feel stressed when a conversation becomes fast or unclear. This is especially true in international meetings where people come from different countries and have different communication styles. Even English learners who have studied for many years sometimes struggle to express themselves calmly when the discussion becomes complicated or confusing. If you take part in online meetings, team discussions, or project updates, the way you speak can have a very strong impact on how others see you. Clear communication helps people understand you better. It helps them trust your ideas more. And most importantly, it helps them work with you more easily and respectfully. What you will learn today. In today's episode, I will guide you through simple and practical techniques that experienced leaders use to sound organized, calm, and confident, even in difficult situations. You will learn how to structure your ideas clearly, how to keep listeners from feeling confused, how to use short and polite phrases to show agreement or disagreement, how to respond when someone interrupts you or misunderstands you, how to stay calm when you are asked an unexpected question. These skills can help you handle meetings with ease, even when the discussion becomes stressful. Why simple English works better. A lot of English learners believe that they need perfect grammar or very advanced vocabulary to speak well in meetings. But this is not true. Confidence doesn't come from big words. It comes from clarity. When you speak with a clear message and use simple language, people understand you faster. Your ideas sound stronger. Your message feels more professional, even if your grammar is not perfect. Throughout this episode, I will also share real phrases that senior managers, team leaders, and everyday professionals use in their workplaces. I'll explain why these phrases work so effectively and how you can adapt them to your own speaking style. You will also learn how to control your tone so you sound friendly and confident, how to slow down your speaking speed naturally, and how to move smoothly from one idea to the next. These small techniques can make your communication feel polished and professional. If you are ready to feel more confident in every meeting you join, stay with me. The rest of this episode will help you build the skills you need to communicate clearly, stay relaxed, and express your ideas in a way that leaves a positive and memorable impression on everyone. Part 1. The Power of Preparation. Let's begin with the first and most important principle: preparation. Preparation does not mean memorizing long sentences or trying to remember every detail. Instead, it means organizing your thoughts into a simple, clear structure. Many people go into a meeting with too much information in their minds. Because of this, they end up giving long and confusing explanations. Listeners start to lose interest, and the message becomes unclear. A better approach is to choose 2 or 3 key points that truly matter. Prepare a short explanation for each one. When you do this, you feel less pressure. You reduce the chances of forgetting important ideas. You sound more focused and confident. You create space to think calmly. This simple method can completely change the way you communicate. Part 2. Use a framing sentence. Another helpful strategy is to begin your speaking turn with a short framing sentence. A framing sentence tells your listeners what you're about to talk about. It prepares them to follow your ideas. For example, you can say, I'd like to give a quick update. I want to explain a challenge we're facing. I'd like to suggest a possible solution. These small phrases help your listeners understand the direction of your message right away. They feel more prepared, so they listen more carefully. Part 3. Slow down and breathe. Many English learners speak too fast because they feel nervous or afraid of interrupting others. Some also think that speaking quickly makes them sound fluent. But the opposite is true. Speaking too fast can make your ideas difficult to follow, make your voice sound less confident, make your message feel rushed. When you slow down your pace, you have more time to think, to choose your words, and to give importance to what matters. Short pauses before key points also help your message stand out. Speaking slowly doesn't make you sound less fluent. It makes you sound more confident and more professional. These pauses do not make you look nervous or unprepared. In fact, they do the opposite. They make your message stronger. When you pause for a moment, it tells your listeners, pay attention. Something important is coming next. Skilled speakers, teachers, and leaders use pauses on purpose to create emphasis. You can use this simple technique too, and it will instantly make your speech sound more confident. Another powerful communication skill is called signposting. Signposting means using short connecting words or phrases to guide your listeners through your ideas step by step. Words like first, next, however, on the other hand, and finally help listeners understand your thinking immediately. When you use signposts, your ideas feel more organized, even if the topic is difficult or very detailed. Signposting also reduces misunderstandings because listeners always know where you are in your explanation and what you will talk about next. It creates a smooth path for your ideas, just like road signs guide a driver on a quiet road. These techniques, preparation, framing sentences, slowing down, using pauses, and adding clear signposts, can completely transform how you sound in professional conversations. They make you appear calm, confident, and in control of your message. With regular practice, you will be able to communicate clearly in any meeting, even when the discussion becomes stressful or complicated. Speaking confidently without sounding harsh. Being confident in meetings is not only about speaking clearly. It is also about making sure other people understand you comfortably and without feeling attacked. When you share your ideas in a professional environment, it's important to be direct enough for people to understand your point, but polite enough to keep the atmosphere calm and respectful. One helpful method is using softening phrases. Softening phrases make your message confident, but not aggressive. For example, instead of saying something very strong like, "This is wrong," you can say, "It seems to me that there might be another way. From my perspective, I would suggest a different approach." Simple changes like these tell others that you are sharing an opinion, not attacking their ideas. This keeps teamwork smooth and respectful. Disagreement is normal and healthy in meetings. But how you disagree makes a big difference. A good strategy is to separate the idea from the person. Respond to the point, not to the individual. For example, "I see where you're coming from, but I think there is another angle we could consider." This sentence shows that you listened and understood, yet you still have your own viewpoint. It keeps the conversation constructive and prevents conflict. This style builds strong professional relationships because no one feels embarrassed, insulted, or ignored. Handling questions calmly. When someone asks you a question, you don't have to answer instantly. Many experienced speakers pause briefly before responding. This makes their answer clearer and more thoughtful. If the question surprises you or you need a moment to organize your ideas, you can begin with a short acknowledgement. "That's a great question. Let me take a moment to think about the best way to explain this." Then continue with a slow, calm explanation. This makes you sound confident and in control, even when you are thinking on the spot. Managing interruptions politely. Interruptions are another common challenge in meetings. Instead of raising your voice or speaking over others, you can use polite but firm phrases such as, Let me finish this point, and then I'll respond. I'd like to complete what I was explaining first. These responses are respectful, but they also show that your message is important and should be heard fully. If you are leading the meeting, you might need to guide the conversation when someone speaks for too long or moves off topic. A gentle way to do this is to summarize their point and bring the focus back to the agenda. Thank you for sharing that. If I understand correctly, your main point is this. Now, let's move on to the next part of our discussion. This helps the meeting stay organized without making anyone feel ignored or unappreciated. Communication in international meetings. In international meetings, people come from different cultures and speak with different accents. Sometimes this can lead to confusion. Being patient, speaking slowly, and checking understanding helps everyone feel respected and included. Clear and polite communication makes the entire meeting more productive, no matter where participants come from. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You only need to be easy to understand. Focus on speaking clearly, slowing down on important words, choosing simple vocabulary, giving examples when needed. Many people believe long or complicated words make them sound intelligent, but usually it has the opposite effect. Complex language confuses listeners. Good communicators express ideas simply and directly. If someone looks confused or asks you to repeat something, don't just say the same sentence louder. Instead, rephrase the sentence. Choose simpler words. Give a short example. Examples help people understand faster because they give a clear picture of what you mean. Nonverbal communication. Communication is not only about the words you speak. Your body language also plays a big role. Even in online meetings, things like your posture, facial expressions, hand movements, and eye contact affect how people interpret your message. Sitting upright, nodding gently, and keeping a friendly expression show that you are engaged, confident, and professional. Feeling confident in a meeting is not only about the words you say, it is also about how you look while speaking. Your body language sends a message before your voice even starts. Sitting up straight makes you appear more focused and serious. Nodding gently while others speak shows that you are paying attention. Keeping your hands relaxed and your gestures slow makes you look calm and in control. If you are presenting information, using your hands to show changes, numbers, or key ideas can make your message more engaging. However, too much movement can distract the listeners. So try to use simple, intentional gestures that highlight your message, not hide it. The power of summarizing. Another important communication skill is summarizing. Being able to restate your ideas in a short, clear way is incredibly valuable. Even if someone did not understand every detail during your explanation, a summary helps them understand the main point. A good summary usually begins with a phrase like, "To put it simply." In other words, to summarize. After that, give one or two short sentences that explain the core idea. Summarizing makes you sound more confident because it shows you truly understand what you are talking about. It also helps the meeting stay focused. This is especially useful when you are presenting data, giving updates, or sharing a new proposal. For example, to summarize, our next step is to review the data and prepare a brief report. A closing summary like this guides the team, keeps the meeting organized, and shows that you are thinking ahead and contributing professionally. Expressing uncertainty without sounding weak. Many people worry that expressing uncertainty will make them look unprepared. But the truth is, when you do it correctly, it makes you sound careful, realistic, and professional. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure," maybe, which can sound uncertain or weak, use controlled phrases such as, "It is likely that." Based on the information we have so far, these expressions show that you are thinking critically and responsibly. They help you stay honest while still sounding confident. Turn-taking in meetings. Turn-taking is extremely important, especially in international teams where different communication styles can easily clash. Meetings feel smoother when people wait their turn and speak respectfully. If you want to join the discussion, you can say, "I'd like to add something to that, if I may. Briefly, I would like to share a point." These phrases help you participate without interrupting the speaker. If you want to encourage someone else to speak, you can say, "Let's hear from. Could you share your perspective on this?" These invitations help create a balanced, inclusive environment where everyone feels valued. Emotional control, staying calm under pressure. Meetings can sometimes be stressful. Deadlines, disagreements, or misunderstandings can make people feel anxious. A confident communicator stays calm even when things become difficult. If you feel nervous, take a slow, deep breath. Remind yourself that perfect English is not required. Focus on the message, not the fear. If you need more time to think, use natural filler phrases like, "Let me think for a moment. Give me a second to consider that." These phrases sound professional and give you time to organize your ideas. With practice, handling pressure becomes easier and your confidence grows naturally. Cultural awareness and communication. Every culture has its own communication style. In some workplaces, direct communication is appreciated because it is efficient. In others, people prefer a softer, more indirect approach to avoid sounding rude. Being aware of these differences helps you communicate more respectfully and effectively. You learn how to adjust your style depending on who you are speaking to. When you understand cultural expectations, you listen more carefully. You choose your words more thoughtfully. You build stronger professional relationships. Good communication is not just about speaking well. It is also about understanding others, adapting your approach, and staying calm under pressure. When you combine respectful language, good listening, turn-taking, emotional control, and cultural awareness, you become a more effective communicator. These skills help you succeed not only in meetings, but also in building trust with colleagues from many different backgrounds. With consistent practice, every meeting becomes a chance to improve your clarity, confidence, and connection with others. Learning from senior team members. One of the best ways to understand workplace communication is by observing experienced or senior team members. Watch how they speak during discussions. Notice their tone. Observe how they disagree politely. Listen to how they introduce ideas. Pay attention to how they explain complex points. Notice the pace and rhythm of their speech. These small details can teach you a lot about the communication style your workplace expects. By slowly adopting these patterns, you can blend more naturally into the environment and express yourself more confidently. Clear and confident communication begins with one simple habit: regular practice. Every meeting you attend, even the short and informal ones, is a chance for you to improve your speaking skills. You do not need to become perfect right away, and you do not need to speak like an expert on the first try. What matters is making small progress each time you speak. Maybe one day you use a clearer phrase. Maybe another day you speak a little more slowly. Maybe you organize your ideas in a cleaner way. These small improvements may feel minor on their own, but over time they build up. Slowly, they help you develop a strong professional presence and a natural sense of confidence. Confidence is not something that appears suddenly or magically. It grows through action, reflection, and consistent effort. The more you speak, the more fluent and comfortable you become. Eventually, meetings will stop feeling stressful. Instead, they will feel energizing because you will know how to express your ideas clearly and confidently. Organizing your ideas clearly. Another important part of successful communication is learning how to organize your thoughts so that your message feels simple and natural for listeners. Even if the topic is complicated or highly technical, many people mistakenly believe they must use difficult or complex language. In reality, the best communicators do the opposite. They use simple, direct sentences to make difficult ideas easier to understand. One very helpful method is the top-to-bottom approach. This means start with the big, general idea, then move step by step toward the smaller, detailed points. Listeners need to understand the big picture first. Once they know the overall idea, they can easily make sense of the details that follow. For example, if you are presenting new data, you might begin by saying something like, "Here is the general trend we found." Only after that should you discuss individual numbers or specific examples. This structure guides your listeners, helps them stay focused, and prevents them from feeling overwhelmed. The top-to-bottom method works because it matches how the human mind naturally understands information. Most people cannot absorb details without understanding the larger context. When you begin with the general idea, you help prepare their minds to receive the smaller pieces in a logical order. This makes you sound organized, thoughtful, and confident, even when the topic is difficult. Explaining detailed information. When you need to explain a detailed or sensitive topic, guiding your listeners step by step is extremely helpful. For example, if a project is delayed, you can start with the general reason. The delay is mainly caused by limited resource availability. Then you can move into specifics, such as which resources are missing, how this shortage affects the schedule, what parts of the project are impacted. Because the listeners already understand the general idea, the details become easier to follow. This reduces confusion and creates a smoother explanation. Using bridging phrases. Another useful communication skill is using bridge phrases that connect one idea to the next. These short phrases guide your audience through your message and keep your speaking smooth and organized. Examples include building on that point, moving to the next part. Another important factor is these small transitions make your speech sound more professional and prevent your ideas from sounding disconnected. Using numbers to organize points. When you have several points to share, numbering them is extremely effective. You can say, "I'd like to share 3 important updates. There are 2 main challenges we need to address." Numbering helps listeners follow your ideas more easily and remember them later. Many experienced speakers use this technique to keep long discussions clear and focused, and you can start using it immediately. Simplifying complex ideas. Confident speakers are also good at simplifying complex ideas without removing important meaning. One useful technique is to imagine explaining the idea to someone with no background knowledge. Ask yourself, what would they need to understand first? Do they really need technical terms? Could a simple example make the message clearer? For instance, if you are explaining a new workflow process, you do not need to describe every technical detail. Instead, you can use an everyday comparison, such as, think of it like reorganizing a room so that everything is easier to reach. This kind of analogy gives your listeners a clear mental picture, helping them understand the concept quickly and remember it easily. Tone of voice and pace. Your tone of voice also affects how your message is received. Even if your words are clear, the way you say them shapes how people feel about your message. A calm, steady tone sounds confident. A rushed or overly loud tone may make you seem stressed or impatient. When speaking in a meeting, aim for a pace that is comfortable, not too fast, not too slow. Pause slightly between ideas to give listeners time to absorb what you are saying. These small habits make a big difference in how confidently you are perceived. Final thoughts. With regular practice, strong awareness, and a good structure for your ideas, you can communicate with clarity and confidence in any meeting. Every meeting you attend is a small step forward. Over time, these steps turn you into a speaker who communicates clearly, listens thoughtfully, and contributes confidently. Pausing briefly after important points is a very effective communication habit. When you pause, you give your listeners a moment to absorb the information. This short silence makes your message easier to follow and shows that you are in control of what you are saying. A good pause signals confidence and makes you sound thoughtful rather than rushed. Your tone of voice also plays a powerful role in communication. Tone helps you express emotions in a professional and appropriate way. For example, when you have to share bad news, a gentle and calm tone helps show empathy and understanding. When you are presenting exciting results, a slightly more enthusiastic tone can motivate and inspire your team. Adjusting your tone to match the situation demonstrates emotional intelligence and leadership. It shows that you understand how others feel and that you know how to communicate with respect. All of these techniques, clear structure, smooth transitions, simple explanations, and a controlled tone, have one main purpose: to make your message easy to understand. When your communication is clear and thoughtful, you become a stronger presence in meetings and contribute more effectively to your team. The power of a calm and steady tone. A calm, steady tone is one of the strongest tools you can use in any meeting. When your voice sounds relaxed and controlled, people naturally trust you more. You do not need to speak loudly or dramatically to get attention. A clear and even tone shows maturity, confidence, and purpose. If you ever feel stressed or nervous while speaking, take one slow breath and gently relax your shoulders. Physical tension in the body often leads to a shaky or strained voice. When you relax your posture, your voice becomes smoother and more stable. A relaxed body creates a relaxed voice, and a relaxed voice leads to better communication. Responding to challenging questions. Another advanced communication skill is learning how to respond calmly when someone challenges your ideas. In professional settings, colleagues may question your reasoning or disagree with your suggestions. This is completely normal. Disagreement is a healthy part of teamwork because it helps teams find better solutions. When someone questions your idea, the first step is to stay calm and avoid reacting emotionally. Begin by acknowledging their concern in a respectful way. You can say, "I understand why that might be a concern. That's a valid point. I see where you're coming from." These simple phrases show that you respect the other person's perspective and that you're willing to listen. After acknowledging their point, you can explain your reasoning clearly without sounding defensive. This approach shows confidence and professionalism. At the same time, confident speakers are not afraid to adjust their ideas. If the other person makes a strong argument, it is perfectly acceptable to reconsider your original view. You can say, "That's a helpful perspective. We may need to rethink our approach." These responses show that you value teamwork and accuracy more than ego. The purpose of a meeting is not to win debates. The goal is to collaborate, solve problems, and move forward as a team. Using the language of agreement. Another important part of communication in meetings is using clear language to show agreement and alignment. Simply saying yes is possible, but it does not show much support. Expressive agreement phrases help you build stronger relationships and create a positive team environment. For full agreement, you can say, "I completely agree with that direction. That's an excellent observation. I think that idea fits perfectly with our goals." These statements show enthusiasm and make the speaker feel appreciated. When you partially agree, balanced phrases help you sound thoughtful and engaged. "I agree with the main idea, but I'd like to add something. I see your point, and I think we could expand it further." These phrases show that you are actively thinking about the discussion instead of just agreeing passively. It is also important to acknowledge when others support your ideas. Simple statements such as, "Thank you for your input. I appreciate you adding to that point," help build trust and encourage teamwork. Recognizing others' contributions creates a positive and supportive meeting atmosphere. Repeating your message without sounding repetitive. Another key communication skill is learning how to repeat your message in different ways without sounding repetitive or boring. Sometimes in meetings, people may not fully understand your idea the first time. Instead of repeating the exact same sentence, you can restate your point using slightly different words or provide a simple example. This helps reinforce your message while keeping the discussion fresh and engaging. Sometimes listeners may not understand your point the first time, especially when the topic is new, complex, or unexpected. Instead of repeating the exact same sentence, it is more effective to rephrase your message using simpler words, a different structure, or a more direct explanation. For example, if someone is unsure why a deadline needs to be changed, you can say, "The main issue is that we do not have enough resources to finish the task on time." This clear, simple sentence helps people understand the problem more easily. Rephrasing gives your audience a second chance to understand the idea from a new angle. You can also use examples, numbers, or short comparisons to make your explanation easier to follow. Examples help people imagine the situation. Numbers make your point more concrete. Comparisons make abstract ideas easier to understand. These techniques are especially useful when you are leading a meeting or explaining something complex. They help your listeners remember your points more clearly. Asking good questions. Asking clear and direct questions is one of the strongest ways to guide a discussion. Good questions encourage participation, create clarity, and help move the conversation forward. Open questions such as, "What are your thoughts on this approach?" or "How do you think this will affect our schedule?" invite people to share ideas and think creatively. Closed questions like, "Does this plan work?" or "Are we ready to move forward?" help confirm facts and make decisions quickly. Skilled communicators know when to use each type of question. Open questions help explore ideas, and closed questions help finalize them. Both are necessary for effective meetings. Listening carefully to the answers is just as important as asking the question. A well-timed follow-up question shows that you are paying attention. You can also repeat the speaker's point in your own words to check accuracy. For example, "So, if I understand correctly, your main concern is the resource allocation." This keeps both sides aligned and prevents misunderstandings. By combining rephrasing, supportive language, and thoughtful questions, you communicate more clearly and confidently. These skills make meetings smoother, reduce confusion, and create an environment where everyone feels heard and respected. With practice, you become a more natural and influential speaker in any professional setting. Checking understanding politely. It is important to check understanding in meetings without sounding controlling or critical. If you interrupt too directly, people may feel judged. Instead, use polite phrases such as, "Just to make sure we are on the same page. I want to confirm that I understood your point correctly." These phrases show that you care about accuracy and teamwork. They also help prevent misunderstandings before they turn into bigger problems. This kind of polite checking helps the meeting stay organized and respectful. Managing time without sounding impatient. Another advanced communication skill is managing meeting time effectively. Discussions can easily go off track when people talk too long or when the topic becomes unclear. Instead of interrupting or cutting someone off, guide the conversation gently by saying, "We may need to move forward to stay on schedule. Let's return to this point later if needed." These polite phrases keep the meeting productive while still respecting everyone's contributions. Confident communicators know that guiding time is not rude. It shows leadership, awareness, and responsibility. If the conversation starts to drift too far, you can bring the team back by summarizing the main point. To bring us back to the main objective, the key point we need to focus on now is, these transitions make you sound organized and professional, especially in fast-paced discussions. Handling difficulties in meetings. For English learners, meetings can feel even more challenging. You may hear different accents, fast speech, or several voices talking at once. It is completely normal to miss information. Even native speakers ask for repetition. You can confidently say, "Could you repeat that point, please? I want to make sure I understood correctly, do you mean?" These expressions are polite, professional, and very common in international workplaces. Asking for clarification does not make you look weak. It prevents mistakes and ensures clear communication. Taking notes is another powerful habit. You do not need full sentences, just keywords or short phrases. Notes help you stay organized, prepare your ideas before speaking, and contribute confidently. They also make summarizing easier. Communicating in virtual meetings. Virtual meetings bring additional challenges like poor internet, technical issues, or unclear audio. In these cases, it becomes even more important to communicate clearly. You can use short verbal cues to show engagement, such as, "Yes, I see," or "I agree with that point." You can also repeat key points or summarize discussions to ensure everyone is following. Being organized and proactive in virtual meetings helps you maintain credibility even when the technology is not perfect. Building confidence over time. By practicing these skills, checking understanding, managing time, redirecting conversations, asking for clarification, and taking structured notes, you build strong communication habits. These techniques reduce stress, prevent misunderstandings, and help create a positive and collaborative meeting environment. With consistent practice, meetings will become easier to follow and much less stressful. You will feel more confident speaking, listening, and contributing, no matter how complex the discussion is. Being a clear and confident communicator is an important professional skill, especially in virtual meetings. When you communicate well, people understand your ideas better, your work becomes more productive, and your contributions have a stronger impact. In online meetings, your microphone, camera, and internet connection matter a lot. These technical tools affect how clearly people can hear and see you. Sometimes digital audio can distort your voice or make speech sound unclear. Because of this, speaking a little slower than usual helps your message come through clearly. Keeping your face visible on camera is also very important. Your facial expressions, hand movements, and eye contact make conversations feel more natural and human. If you need to interrupt politely, you can use respectful phrases like, "I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the audio overlapped," or "Could you repeat the last part?" These small expressions show professionalism and keep the meeting running smoothly. Confident communication also comes from being aware of how people react when you speak. If someone looks confused, try slowing down, explaining your point in a simpler way, or giving an example. If they look interested and engaged, continue with the same energy and tone. Confidence is not just about feeling brave inside, it is about making your ideas easy to understand for others. The more you adjust your speaking style based on your listeners' reactions, the stronger and more flexible your communication skills become. Over time, meetings will feel less stressful and more like chances to share ideas and contribute meaningfully. Another advanced skill that separates strong communicators from others is the ability to manage the speed of the meeting. Many online meetings move too quickly. When discussions go fast, important ideas can be missed, and some people may fall behind. Confident speakers help slow things down in a helpful and professional way. One effective method is summarizing what has been discussed using phrases like, "Let's take a moment to review what we've covered," or "Let me recap the main points so far." Summaries help everyone understand the discussion clearly and make your contributions stand out. Pacing your own speech is just as important. Even if you are explaining something complicated, breaking it into smaller parts makes it easier for others to follow. Speak in short, clear sentences and pause after each idea so listeners have time to think. Simple linking phrases like, "building on that point," "another important thing is," or "next, I want to highlight," help your message feel organized and easy to follow. Supporting the rhythm of the discussion also creates space for quieter participants. You can invite others to join by saying things like, "I'd like to hear your thoughts," or "Could you share your perspective?" This kind of language builds teamwork and creates a friendly, collaborative environment. It also gives you a natural leadership role without taking over the conversation. When people see that you help keep the meeting organized, clear, and inclusive, they naturally trust and respect your communication skills. By paying attention to technical issues, monitoring your audience's reactions, and organizing your speech, you become a much more confident communicator. These habits make meetings more focused and productive, and they help ensure that your ideas are understood. With continuous practice, both online and in-person meetings will feel easier, and you will be able to guide discussions, share insights, and support your team with confidence. Another helpful method for clear communication is breaking complicated ideas into small, simple parts. Start with your main point, then give a short explanation or example, and end with a brief summary. This structure helps your message stay clear and easy to remember. When listeners can follow your thoughts step by step, they feel more comfortable and engaged. Handling interruptions politely is another essential skill. Meetings often involve many people, so interruptions are normal. Instead of reacting negatively, respond calmly and respectfully. You can say, "I'd like to finish my point, and then I'd be happy to hear your thoughts." This keeps the discussion balanced and shows professionalism. Using transitional phrases also helps guide the conversation smoothly. Words like "moving on," "in addition," or "let's consider the next point" make your communication feel organized and intentional. These transitions give your speech a clear rhythm and help everyone follow your ideas more easily. Explaining complex topics in a simple and concise way is another key skill. Many people try to include too much information, which can confuse others. Instead, focus on the essentials. Add only the most important details and use short examples, small data points, or brief stories to support your ideas. This style keeps your communication strong and easy to remember. Emotional control is also important. Meetings can become tense, especially when people disagree. A confident speaker remains calm and keeps a steady tone. Even in difficult moments, staying composed helps prevent misunderstandings. If a conversation becomes heated, you can say, "I see your point," and "I'd like to suggest an alternative," or "I appreciate your feedback. Let's explore this further." These phrases show respect and guide the discussion toward solutions. Expressing disagreement politely is equally important. It shows maturity and helps maintain a positive atmosphere in the meeting. A very important communication skill is separating the idea from the person. This means you focus on the content, not the individual. Instead of criticizing someone directly, you look at the idea itself. For example, instead of saying, "That's wrong," you could say, "I understand your perspective, and I'd like to offer another approach." This keeps your disagreement polite, helpful, and respectful. It also protects your relationship with colleagues and keeps the discussion positive. When you combine this skill with clear explanations, well-structured points, and calm emotional control, you build a very strong foundation for participating in meetings. People will understand your ideas more easily, remember them better, and respect you more when you communicate clearly, handle interruptions politely, and guide discussions thoughtfully. By practicing these strategies, organizing your thoughts, using transitions, expressing disagreement respectfully, and staying calm, you develop a communication style that is confident, friendly, and effective. Over time, these habits become natural, and meetings feel more like opportunities to share ideas, solve problems, and contribute meaningfully to your team. The real goal is not just to speak, but to communicate in a way that makes your ideas truly heard, understood, and valued. Expressing disagreement professionally is especially important. You can use phrases like, "I understand your perspective. However, I think there is another approach," or "while I see your point, I suggest we also consider this option." These sentences allow you to share your thoughts confidently without causing tension. This helps maintain a collaborative and respectful environment. When disagreements are expressed calmly and constructively, Discussions stay productive and team relationships remain strong. This approach shows maturity, emotional intelligence, and professionalism. Another advanced communication technique is using questions strategically. Asking clear and thoughtful questions shows that you are paying attention and that you want to understand the topic deeply. Open-ended questions encourage discussion, such as, "What are the potential challenges of this plan? How do you see this affecting our timeline?" These questions invite others to think, reflect, and participate. Closed questions are useful when you want to confirm a detail or finalize a decision, such as, "Are we aligned on the next step? Do we all agree on this deadline?" Knowing when to use each type of question is a skill that improves with practice and with careful observation of the meeting's flow. Summarizing other people's points before you respond is another powerful communication strategy. It shows that you are genuinely listening and helps avoid misunderstandings. You can say things like, "So if I understand correctly, your concern is this," or, to summarize, "The main idea you're suggesting is this." These phrases confirm that you respect the person's contribution and help make sure the whole team is on the same page. Summaries also make complex ideas clearer and create a solid foundation for your own response. Managing discussions that involve multiple topics is also an important skill. Meetings often switch quickly between subjects, which can confuse people. To maintain clarity, you can use phrases like, "Before we move on, let's finish this point," or "Let's address the previous topic fully before continuing." These statements help structure the conversation and ensure each topic gets the attention it deserves. Smooth transitions make meetings feel organized and professional. Strong communicators also choose concise, impactful vocabulary. Using very complex or technical words may sound impressive, but clarity is far more important. Simple, direct words help everyone understand your message quickly. Avoid jargon unless you are sure everyone knows it. Using clear language along with structured explanations and thoughtful questions makes your communication more persuasive. By using these strategies, constructive disagreement, strategic questions, effective summarizing, clear transitions, and precise vocabulary, you develop a communication style that is confident, collaborative, and professional. Over time, these habits will feel natural, and meetings will become chances to share ideas, solve problems, and strengthen teamwork. Communication is not only about speaking, it is about making sure your message is understood and acted upon. When you use technical terms, it helps to give a short explanation so everyone can follow along. Good communication also depends on visual and vocal cues. In virtual meetings, speak clearly, use natural hand gestures, and maintain a friendly facial expression. In in-person meetings, posture, eye contact, and purposeful movements show confidence. These small cues make your message more persuasive. Confident speakers also manage the timing of their contributions. They know when to speak, when to pause, and when to allow others to join the conversation. Speaking too much can make you seem dominating, while speaking too little can make your ideas invisible. Finding the right balance helps your voice be heard clearly and respectfully. Practical guidelines for confident communication in meetings. A practical rule for speaking in meetings is to make sure each of your points is concise, relevant, and timed well. This keeps your contributions meaningful and easy for others to follow. Handling unexpected questions or critiques is another advanced skill. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a brief pause to organize your thoughts. Start with a polite acknowledgement, such as, "That is a great question. Thank you for raising that point." Then provide your response in a logical and calm way. Using controlled uncertainty can also make you sound professional. Phrases like, "Based on the information we have so far, it seems that this could be the case." These expressions show analytical thinking and honesty while still sounding confident. Preparation and flexibility go hand in hand. Skilled communicators know when to follow their plan and when to adapt to the flow of the meeting. Building confidence over time. Confidence in meetings comes from practice and reflection. After each meeting, review what went well and where you could improve. Ask yourself questions like, did I speak clearly and at an appropriate pace? Did my points follow a logical structure? Did I handle interruptions effectively? By analyzing your performance and making small, consistent improvements, your meeting skills will become more professional, natural, and refined. Over time, meetings will feel less stressful and more empowering. You will be able to express your ideas clearly, manage interactions smoothly, and contribute meaningfully to discussions. Confidence is not something you are born with. It develops through preparation, practice, and learning from experience. Even challenging meetings can become opportunities to share ideas, influence decisions, and show leadership. Managing follow-up and anticipating questions. Being confident is also about actions after the meeting. Effective meetings ensure ideas, decisions, and tasks are followed up on. Experienced professionals often summarize next steps or confirm responsibilities before finishing their contributions. For example, to summarize, we will take the following actions. As the next step, I suggest assigning tasks as follows. This shows leadership and makes your role clear, even if you are not the official meeting leader. Another useful strategy is anticipating questions or concerns before they arise. If you are presenting a proposal or report, think about potential doubts and address them proactively. For example, I expect some of you may have questions about this timeline, so let me explain how we plan to manage potential delays. This shows careful planning and foresight, which builds credibility and trust. Active listening and engagement. Active listening is essential for effective participation. Confident speakers do more than wait for their turn. They focus on truly understanding what others are saying. Key techniques include nodding and making short verbal acknowledgments like, I see, or that makes sense. Summarizing key points. So, if I understand correctly, your concern is. To summarize your point, you are suggesting that. These actions demonstrate respect, clarity, and thoughtfulness, strengthening teamwork and collaboration. Tone, body language, and pacing. Professional communication depends on more than words. Your tone of voice, body language, and pace are just as important. Speak slowly and use a calm, relaxed voice to make your ideas clear. Avoid speaking too fast, especially in virtual meetings, because digital audio can distort rapid speech. Maintain eye contact, upright posture, and controlled hand gestures in in-person meetings. In online meetings, keep your camera on and stay visible so others can follow your points. When interruptions happen, respond politely but assertively. I would like to finish my point, and then I'm happy to hear your thoughts. This keeps your contributions structured while respecting others' participation. Summarizing and rephrasing ideas. Another key skill is the ability to summarize and rephrase ideas. Sometimes people do not understand a point the first time. Instead of repeating the same sentence, try using simpler words. Giving a short example. For example, if explaining why a deadline must change. The main issue is that our current resources are not enough to complete the task on time. Rephrasing provides the audience with another way to understand your message, making it clearer and more memorable. Confident speakers also develop a personal style that feels natural and professional. You don't need to copy anyone else. Instead, choose communication habits that match your personality. With time, your style becomes consistent and trusted by colleagues. This authenticity makes your contributions feel genuine and credible. Another advanced technique is strategic storytelling. Short, relevant stories can make your ideas more relatable and easier to remember. For example, if you suggest a new workflow, you can briefly share a past situation where a similar idea was successful. Keep stories short and connected to your main point. Long or unrelated stories can distract listeners. Meetings often include many speakers and overlapping ideas. Skilled communicators handle this by acknowledging others and then adding to the discussion. Phrases like, "That's a great point," to add to that, or "I understand your perspective, and we could also consider," show teamwork and leadership. They help connect ideas and keep conversations productive. Flexibility is important. If topics change quickly or several ideas come at once, stay focused. Summarize key points and guide the discussion when needed. Being prepared with helpful phrases or examples makes it easier to contribute even in fast-paced meetings. Confidence in meetings also comes from understanding your role. You don't need to dominate the conversation. Focus on contributing meaningful points, asking clear questions, and helping the group reach decisions. Listening carefully, adapting to the situation, and responding calmly help create a strong professional impression. After meetings, reflect on your performance. Ask yourself, did I speak clearly? Did I manage interruptions well? Was I calm in tense moments? Were my points relevant and memorable? Practicing these skills builds natural confidence. Over time, even difficult meetings become opportunities to lead, support others, and share valuable ideas. Thoughtful communication, active listening, and purposeful storytelling make your contributions stronger and more professional. Confident speakers also match their words with their body language. If your voice says confident, but your posture shows doubt, listeners may question your message. Maintain straight posture, use open hand gestures, keep gentle eye contact, and speak with clarity. Practicing in front of a mirror or recording yourself can help you see areas to improve. Handling technical problems is another important skill, especially in online meetings. Instead of panicking during issues like poor connection or audio failure, stay calm. Use simple phrases such as, "It seems there is a connection issue. Let's pause," or "The audio cut out, could you repeat that?" This shows professionalism and keeps the meeting organized. Effective speakers also frame their ideas. This means giving context before sharing your point so listeners understand why it matters. For example, the purpose of this update is to highlight potential risks and ways to reduce them. Framing is also useful when disagreeing politely. You can say, "I see your point, and I'd like to suggest another idea," or "We might also consider this alternative." This keeps the conversation respectful and constructive. Keeping people engaged is another important skill. Listeners lose interest if a speaker uses a single tone or speaks for too long without variation. To keep attention, change your tone slightly, emphasize key words, and use pauses before important points. Adjust your pace to make explanations easier to understand. Confident speakers know how to summarize less important points while explaining key ideas in more detail. They balance depth and brevity, so the audience stays focused and fully understands the message. Advanced meeting communication also requires self-reflection. After each meeting, take a moment to think about what worked well and what could improve. Ask yourself questions like, did my body language match my message? Did I keep the group engaged? Did I manage technical issues calmly? Reflecting regularly helps you develop a natural presence that inspires trust and confidence. With time, every meeting becomes an opportunity to strengthen your communication skills and make your contributions more effective. After each meeting, it is useful to review your performance. You can ask yourself, did I express my ideas clearly? Did I handle interruptions well? Did I use structure, examples, and transitions to make my message understandable? Did I notice feedback from others, spoken or unspoken? This self-awareness builds long-term confidence. Meetings become less intimidating and more like opportunities to share knowledge, influence decisions, and grow professionally. Each meeting allows you to refine your communication style, experiment with new strategies, and see what works best. Over time, you move from being a competent speaker to someone who communicates with clarity, influence, and calm authority. A critical part of confident communication is engaging with colleagues while maintaining control of your own contributions. Engagement is more than talking. It's about showing that you are listening, thinking, and responding meaningfully. One effective method is connecting your comments to others' ideas. For example, building on what Jane mentioned. That aligns with Mark's point, and I would like to add. This shows active listening, respect, and the ability to integrate ideas, qualities that make people take your contributions seriously. Another advanced skill is managing parallel discussions. Fast-paced meetings often have several people speaking at once. Instead of competing for attention, confident speakers observe the flow, wait for a natural pause, and then add their point clearly. This demonstrates patience, awareness, and control. When multiple topics appear at once, keeping track of key ideas and addressing them in order shows strong organization and professionalism. Active engagement also includes asking thoughtful questions and offering concise feedback. Questions such as, "Could you clarify how this affects the timeline?" or "How do you see this working in practice?" show that you are paying attention and thinking critically. Offering feedback politely and clearly helps others understand your perspective without creating tension. By combining good listening, strategic responses, and meaningful contributions, you build a professional presence that naturally commands attention. Confidence grows through practice and reflection. Every meeting teaches you something: what phrases worked, which ideas landed well, and how your timing influenced the discussion. With continuous improvement, even challenging meetings become opportunities to express insight, collaborate effectively, and leave a positive impression. In time, these skills help you become someone who is not only heard but respected and influential in any professional environment. In meetings, it is also important to signal politely when you want to speak. Phrases such as, "If I may add to that," or "I'd like to expand on that briefly," help you enter the conversation without interrupting others. These expressions show confidence, respect, and clarity, making it less likely your ideas will be overlooked. Confident speakers can also simplify complex information. Meetings often involve detailed data or strategic discussions that overwhelm listeners. Breaking ideas into clear, simple parts ensures everyone understands. Before the meeting, identify the most important points and organize them into short summaries, step-by-step explanations, or numbered lists. Adding examples or key data makes your ideas more concrete and persuasive. With this preparation, you can communicate clearly even in fast-moving or technical discussions. Another powerful technique is strategic repetition. Repeating a key point once or twice, using slightly different wording, helps reinforce important ideas and ensures the audience remembers them. This should be done subtly and naturally, without sounding repetitive. Strategic repetition strengthens clarity and increases the impact of your message. Repeating key ideas at the right moments helps your audience understand and remember your message without feeling overwhelmed. For example, after you explain a project deadline, you can restate the main point in simpler words by saying, "In other words, we need to complete these tasks first." This small repetition makes your message clearer, especially when people in the meeting have different language skills or backgrounds. Repetition also shows professionalism because it proves that you care about being understood. Controlling how you speak, your rhythm, tone, and pace is just as important as the words you use. Confident speakers change their pitch, emphasize important words, and use pauses to highlight key ideas. Speaking too fast or using a flat, monotone voice can make strong ideas seem weak or rushed. But speaking at a steady pace, clearly pronouncing your words, and pausing thoughtfully show confidence and calmness. A short pause before an important point creates focus, and a pause afterward gives listeners time to think. These techniques help your message stand out and keep people engaged. Confident speakers are also mindful of timing. They make sure every contribution has a purpose and avoid repeating themselves unnecessarily or drifting off topic. They adapt to the needs of the group, summarizing when ideas become confusing, expanding when clarification is needed, and listening closely to others. When you combine polite signals, clear explanations, strategic repetition, and controlled pacing, your ideas become easier to understand and more valued by the group. Over time, these habits make your presence in meetings not only noticeable but respected. With ongoing practice and preparation, you naturally develop the ability to speak with confidence and clarity. Even challenging or technical meetings become opportunities to share useful ideas, guide discussions, and strengthen your professional image. By mastering these communication skills, your contributions become meaningful, your voice becomes stronger, and your influence grows. In meetings, how you say things is just as important as what you say. Even in virtual meetings, body language plays a major role in showing confidence. Sitting upright, using natural gestures, and maintaining steady eye contact help you appear attentive and professional. Small actions like nodding, smiling gently, or saying short phrases like "I see" or "yes" show that you are actively listening. These signals make others feel respected and help keep the discussion positive and productive. Handling questions is another essential skill. Confident speakers treat questions as opportunities, not challenges. Before answering, pause briefly to gather your thoughts. Begin with a polite acknowledgement such as, "That's an excellent question," or "Thank you for asking." Then respond in a clear structure. Give the context. Provide the key information. Summarize the conclusion or next step. This approach makes your answers easy to follow and demonstrates your professionalism. Even expressing uncertainty can make you more credible when done in a controlled way. Phrases like, "Based on the data we have so far," or "It appears that this might be the case," show honesty without sounding unsure. They demonstrate that you are thoughtful and careful, especially when dealing with complicated or sensitive topics. Advanced communicators also use framing techniques to guide the conversation. Framing means explaining the purpose of what you are going to say before you say it. For example, you might begin with, "The goal of this analysis is to highlight possible risks and propose strategies to manage them." This tells the audience why your contribution matters and helps them listen more effectively. Framing is especially useful when you need to offer a different viewpoint. Instead of disagreeing directly, you can say, "I see the value in this idea, and we might also consider another option that could complement it." This shows respect while still adding your perspective, which keeps the discussion productive rather than confrontational. Your voice and delivery also matter. Changing your tone, stressing keywords, and using effective pauses can make your points clearer and more memorable. Speaking too fast or too flat can weaken even strong ideas, but speaking with pacing and emphasis makes you sound confident and reliable. Preparation is another foundation of effective communication. Reviewing your notes before a meeting, thinking ahead about questions, and planning how to explain information in simple chunks helps you speak more clearly. When you combine strong body language, structured responses, good framing, thoughtful speaking techniques, and preparation, your communication becomes more powerful and respected. Presenting alternative ideas or building on someone else's point is another way to participate effectively. For example, when you are in a meeting, it is important to share your ideas in a way that is polite, clear, and helpful. One good method is to add your opinion without rejecting someone else's idea. For example, you can say, "We could also consider this other option," or "I agree with your main point, and I think adding another perspective might make our plan stronger." Using phrases like these shows that you are respectful, cooperative, and confident. You are not shutting down anyone's ideas, you are building on them. Another helpful skill is using examples or short stories when explaining something. People remember ideas better when they are connected to real situations. If you are suggesting a new workflow or system, you can give a brief example of a time when that method worked well in the past. This helps others understand why your idea is useful. Keep these examples short and closely related to your point so they strengthen your message instead of distracting from it. Good examples make your ideas feel real, easy to understand, and more convincing. Confident speakers also think about when they speak. Talking too much can make you seem dominating, but talking too little can make people forget you are part of the meeting. Good timing means knowing when to add your thoughts, when to summarize a discussion, and when to let others speak. You can observe other people's body language, such as when someone looks ready to talk, or pay attention to the natural pauses in the conversation. This awareness helps you contribute at the right moments without interrupting or breaking the flow. When you give technical or detailed updates, clarity is extremely important. Focus only on the most important information. Give the background, explain the key point, and avoid adding unnecessary details. You can use phrases like, "The most important point here is," or "The key takeaway from this data is." Simple visuals like diagrams or bullet points can help, but they should be clean and easy to follow. Clear communication helps everyone understand your message, even when the topic includes numbers, deadlines, or complex processes. Another sign of a strong communicator is the ability to stay calm during pressure. Meetings can sometimes become tense, especially when deadlines are close or opinions differ. Keeping your voice calm and steady shows that you are controlled and professional. By managing your emotions, you help create a respectful environment where people can talk openly. It also helps you answer difficult questions or respond to disagreements without losing your confidence. Overall, advanced communication in meetings requires a combination of clarity, timing, confidence, and emotional control. When you connect your ideas to others, use examples, watch the flow of the conversation, and stay calm, people listen to you more and value your contributions. With practice, these skills help you influence decisions, gain respect, and build credibility in every meeting you attend. Each meeting becomes a chance to grow, improve, and leave a positive impression. Strong communicators also keep improving. After each meeting, it can be helpful to reflect on what went well and what could be better. Ask yourself questions such as, did I explain my ideas clearly? Did I handle interruptions calmly? Did my tone and body language support my message? Thinking about these points helps you recognize your strengths and understand where you can grow. Over time, this reflection helps you build better habits and stronger communication skills. As you continue practicing, preparing before meetings, speaking clearly, listening actively, staying calm, and reflecting afterward, you become someone others trust and respect. In complex meetings, especially those with people from different cultures or backgrounds, these skills become even more important. Meetings will no longer feel stressful. Instead, they will feel like opportunities to show your ideas, share your perspective, and influence important decisions. In the end, these habits turn you into a confident, effective communicator whose voice is heard and valued in any meeting, no matter how challenging or complex it is. Becoming an influential communicator in meetings is not just about speaking loudly or sharing many ideas. It is about engaging others, guiding conversations, and contributing in ways that truly matter. In professional environments, your presence in a meeting is more than just being heard. It is about shaping results, encouraging teamwork, and building a strong professional reputation. Beyond good preparation, a clear structure, and confident delivery, One of the most important skills is the ability to influence others in a thoughtful and persuasive way. Meetings are not only places where information is exchanged, they are environments where decisions are made, priorities are set, and relationships are strengthened. When you communicate with influence, you help guide discussions, highlight key ideas, and make sure your contributions create real impact. One powerful way to influence a meeting is by clearly framing your ideas. Instead of simply saying a suggestion, explain why it matters and how it will help the team. For example, you can say, "If we use this approach, we can reduce delays and improve efficiency. This new process will help us meet our targets more consistently." By connecting your idea to a benefit or a clear outcome, you make it easier for colleagues to understand and support your perspective. Another advanced communication technique is knowing how to use emphasis and repetition effectively. Skilled speakers highlight important points by changing their tone, slowing their pace, or repeating key ideas in slightly different wording. This kind of repetition is not unnecessary. It helps listeners remember what matters most. When you present a critical solution, restate the main point briefly and emphasize the positive impact. Small changes like pausing, slowing down at important moments, or repeating essential information help your audience understand and absorb your message more effectively. Active engagement with others is another essential part of confident communication. Good communicators don't just talk, they interact in ways that show respect and collaboration. One simple but powerful technique is to connect your comments to what someone else has said. For example, building on what Jane mentioned earlier, that connects well with Mark's point, and I'd like to add. Doing this shows that you are listening, valuing others, and thinking in a cooperative way. It also helps create a smooth flow in the discussion and strengthens your credibility as someone who brings ideas together. Timing is also important. Talking too much might dominate the conversation, but talking too little may cause others to overlook your contributions. The key is to observe both verbal cues and body language to know when to speak, when to pause, and when to let others join in. If someone looks ready to comment or if the conversation shifts naturally, it may be better to wait. Good timing ensures your contributions are well received and meaningful. When presenting technical information or complex updates, clarity should always be your main goal. Focus on the most important points, give necessary context, and avoid overloading people with too many details. Short visuals, diagrams, or bullet points can help your explanation, but they should remain simple. This makes your message easier to understand, especially in discussions involving data, deadlines, or multiple steps. In addition to clarity, emotional control plays a major role in confident communication. Meetings can sometimes include pressure, disagreements, or strong opinions. Remaining calm and steady, even when others are emotional, shows professionalism and self-control. A calm tone, steady pacing, and controlled body language all help reinforce your message and create a respectful environment. When you stay composed, you can respond more thoughtfully to questions or challenges, making your communication even more credible. By framing your ideas clearly, using emphasis wisely, engaging respectfully with colleagues, choosing the right moment to speak, and explaining complex information simply, you build a strong and respected presence in meetings. Over time, these techniques turn meetings from routine tasks into powerful opportunities to influence decisions, build trust, and strengthen your professional identity. Every meeting becomes a chance to grow, practice new skills, and observe what works well. With consistency and experience, speaking with clarity, confidence, and influence becomes natural. You transform into a communicator who guides discussions, supports collaboration, and leaves a lasting positive impression on everyone in the room.